Chapter 1. A Family Decision. The summer sun cast a golden glow over the suburban neighborhood as Daniel Mitchell walked up the driveway of his two-story home. He paused for a moment, taking in the familiar sight of the well-maintained lawn and the flower beds his wife, Amanda, tended to with such care. The house was a symbol of their hard-earned success and the life they had built together over the years. Pushing open the front door, Daniel was greeted by the sound of laughter coming from the kitchen. He followed the cheerful noise and found Amanda and their teenage daughter, Sophie, sitting at the kitchen table, both engrossed in their phones. "Hey, everyone," Daniel called out, placing his briefcase on the counter. "What's so funny?" Sophie looked up, her blue eyes sparkling with amusement. "Mom and I were just looking at some funny videos on social media. You should see some of these, Dad. They are hilarious." Amanda smiled warmly at her husband. "Sophie has been trying to convince me to join social media for a while now. I finally caved in. It's actually pretty fun." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Social media, huh? I'm not sure if that's for me. I've always preferred face-to-face interactions." Sophie pouted playfully. "Oh, come on, Dad. You can stay connected with family and friends, and there are all sorts of interesting things to see and do. Plus, it's a great way to keep up with what is happening in the world." Amanda nodded in agreement. "She's right, Daniel. It is not just about funny videos. You can reconnect with old friends, keep up with relatives, and even join groups that share your interests." Daniel sighed, knowing he was outnumbered. All right. I suppose I could give it a try, but I am only doing this because you both seem to enjoy it so much." Sophie's face lit up with excitement. "Yay! You'll see, Dad. It's going to be great." The family spent the next hour setting up Daniel's social media accounts. Sophie guided him through the process, showing him how to customize his profile, add friends, and navigate the different features. As they worked, Daniel couldn't help but feel a mix of curiosity and apprehension about this new venture. Later that evening, the Mitchell family gathered around the dinner table, enjoying a meal of Amanda's famous lasagna. Conversation flowed easily as they discussed their day and the plans for the upcoming weekend. "So, Dad," Sophie began, her voice tinged with excitement, "have you had a chance to explore your new social media account?" Daniel chuckled. "Not much yet, but I did see a few friend requests from some old high school buddies. It's strange seeing their faces pop up after all these years." Amanda smiled. "It is amazing how technology can bring people together. Remember how we reconnected with the Andersons last year? We hadn't seen them since college." "Yeah, that was nice," Daniel admitted. "I guess there are some benefits to this whole social media thing after all." Sophie grinned. "See? I told you it's not so bad. And who knows? Maybe you will even find some of your old friends from college, like that guy you used to talk about, Brian Wilson." Daniel's expression softened. "Brian, I haven't thought about him in years. He was a great friend. We lost touch after graduation." Amanda reached out and squeezed Daniel's hand. "You never know, Daniel. Maybe he is out there somewhere waiting to reconnect." The evening continued with laughter and stories, the warmth of family filling the room. As they cleared the table and settled into the living room for a movie night, Daniel's mind wandered back to his conversation with Sophie and Amanda. The idea of reconnecting with old friends and staying in touch with family intrigued him more than he had expected. The next morning, Daniel found himself drawn to his computer. He logged into his new social media account and began scrolling through his news feed. As he navigated through the platform, he saw updates from friends and family, photos from recent vacations, and posts about various events. It was a lot to take in, but he could see why Sophie and Amanda enjoyed it. A notification caught his eye, a friend request from Natalie Carter, an old friend from college. Daniel's heart skipped a beat as he clicked on her profile. Memories of late-night study sessions, campus parties, and long conversations flooded his mind. He remembered Natalie as a kind and intelligent woman, someone who had been a significant part of his life during those formative years. Without hesitation, Daniel accepted the friend request and sent her a message. "Hi, Natalie, it has been a long time. How have you been?" He felt a rush of anticipation as he awaited her response. A few minutes later, his computer pinged with a new message. "Daniel, wow, it really has been ages. I am doing well. How about you? It is so great to hear from you. Daniel couldn't help but smile as he began typing his reply. I am doing well too. Life has been busy but good. It's amazing to reconnect after all these years. How is everything on your end? Their conversation continued for the better part of the morning, filled with updates on their lives, reminiscences of college days, and plans to catch up more soon. As Daniel closed his laptop, he felt a sense of nostalgia and excitement for the connections he was beginning to rekindle. That evening, as the family gathered for dinner once again, Daniel shared his experience with Amanda and Sophie. You were right, Sophie. I reconnected with Natalie Carter today. It was great catching up with her after all these years. Sophie beamed. I knew you'd like it, Dad. Social media isn't just about silly videos. It is about staying connected with people who matter. Amanda nodded in agreement. I'm glad you gave it a chance, Daniel. It's wonderful to see you reconnecting with old friends. Daniel felt a warmth in his heart as he looked at his family. They had opened a new door for him, one that led to cherished memories and exciting possibilities. As he enjoyed the simple pleasure of their company, he couldn't help but feel grateful for the new chapter that was beginning in his life. Chapter 2. An Old Flame Rekindled. The days rolled by, and Daniel found himself increasingly drawn to his social media account. Each day brought new connections and memories, but none intrigued him as much as his rekindled friendship with Natalie Carter. Their conversations grew more frequent and detailed, each message a bridge spanning the years that had passed since their college days. One Saturday afternoon, as Daniel sipped his coffee and scrolled through his messages, a notification popped up on his screen. It was from Natalie. Hey Daniel, I am in town next weekend for a conference. How about we meet up for coffee and catch up in person? I'd love to see you after all these years. Daniel's heart raced as he read the message. The prospect of seeing Natalie again after so long filled him with a mix of excitement and nervousness. He quickly typed his response. That sounds great, Natalie. I'd love to catch up. Let's meet at the Greenleaf Cafe on Main Street. How does 10 a.m. on Saturday sound? A few moments later, Natalie replied, Perfect. Can't wait to see you, Daniel. The rest of the week seemed to crawl by as Daniel anticipated the meeting. He found himself reminiscing more and more about their college days, the long nights studying, the laughter shared over silly jokes, and the deep conversations that had left a lasting impression on him. Saturday finally arrived, and Daniel made his way to the Greenleaf Cafe. He chose a table by the window, giving him a clear view of the street. He glanced at his watch, 9:45 a.m. He was early, but he didn't mind. It gave him a moment to gather his thoughts. As he waited, his phone buzzed with a new message. It was from Amanda. Good luck with your meeting. Hope it goes well. Daniel smiled and quickly replied, Thanks, Amanda. I am looking forward to it. At exactly 10 a.m., the cafe door swung open, and in walked Natalie. She looked almost the same as he remembered, with her warm smile and bright eyes. She had aged gracefully, her presence exuding a confidence and elegance that made Daniel's heart skip a beat. Daniel! She called out, her voice filled with excitement. Natalie! Daniel stood up and moved towards her, enveloping her in a warm hug. It is so good to see you. They both sat down, and a comfortable silence settled between them for a moment as they took in each other's presence. This place is lovely, Natalie remarked, looking around the cozy cafe. I'm glad you suggested it. It's one of my favorites, Daniel replied. So how have you been? Tell me everything. They spent the next hour talking about their lives, their families, and their careers. Natalie shared stories about her work as a marketing executive and her travels around the world. Daniel told her about his job, his family, and how Sophie had convinced him to join social media. You've done well for yourself, Daniel, Natalie said, smiling warmly. I'm glad to see you happy. Thanks, Natalie. It hasn't always been easy, but I'm grateful for what I have, Daniel replied. How about you? Any special someone in your life? Natalie's smile faltered for a moment. Well, actually, I've been through a rough patch. I got divorced a couple of years ago. It was tough, but I am in a better place now. I am sorry to hear that, Daniel said, his voice filled with genuine concern. But I am glad you are doing better. Thanks, Natalie said, her smile returning. It's been a journey, but reconnecting with old friends like you has made it easier. Their conversation continued, the hours slipping by unnoticed. They laughed, shared old stories, and rediscovered the connection that had once been so strong between them. As the afternoon sun began to dip, casting long shadows across the calf, they finally realized how much time had passed. "I can't believe we've been talking for so long," Natalie said, glancing at her watch. "I should probably get going. I have to prepare for my conference tomorrow." "Of course," Daniel replied, standing up with her. "But this has been wonderful. We should do it again soon." "I'd like that," Natalie said, giving him another warm hug. "Take care, Daniel. See you soon." As Daniel watched Natalie walk away, he felt a mixture of emotions. Seeing her again had stirred up old feelings, but it had also brought a sense of closure. He realized how much he had missed their friendship and how good it felt to reconnect. On his way home, Daniel thought about their conversation and the bond they had rekindled. He was grateful for the chance to reconnect with Natalie, but he was also mindful of his responsibilities and the life he had built with Amanda and Sophie. That evening, as the family gathered for dinner, Daniel shared his experience with Amanda and Sophie. "I met up with Natalie today," he began, taking a seat at the table. "It was great catching up with her. We talked for hours." "That is wonderful, Daniel," Amanda said, her eyes filled with warmth. "I'm glad you had a good time." Sophie nodded enthusiastically. "See, Dad? I told you social media is a good thing. You get to reconnect with people who matter." Daniel smiled at his daughter. "You were right, Sophie. It's been a great experience, and it's nice to catch up with old friends and see how much we've all grown." The evening continued with laughter and stories, the warmth of family filling the room once again. As they settled into their routine, Daniel couldn't help but feel a sense of contentment. The connections he was rebuilding were adding new dimensions to his life, enriching it in ways he hadn't expected. Later that night, as Daniel lay in bed next to Amanda, he reflected on the day SS events. He was grateful for the support and understanding of his wife, and for the bond they shared with Sophie. His life was full of love and happiness, and the reconnection with Natalie was a beautiful addition to it. As he drifted off to sleep, Daniel felt a sense of peace. The past and present were coming together in harmony, and he looked forward to the future with hope and excitement. Chapter 3: Social Media Connections. The following weeks flew by, and Daniel found himself settling into a new routine that included regular social media check-ins. He exchanged messages with old friends, discovered updates on family members he hadn't seen in years, and even joined a few interest groups related to his hobbies. Yet it was his renewed friendship with Natalie that continued to stand out, their conversations growing more frequent and profound. One evening, as Daniel sat in his home office, his phone buzzed with a new message. It was from Natalie. "Hey Daniel, I just realized we never exchanged numbers. Here's mine. Feel free to text or call whenever." Daniel saved her number into his phone and quickly replied, "Great idea, here's mine. It's been so nice catching up with you. Let's not lose touch again." As soon as he sent the message, his phone rang. It was Natalie. Daniel couldn't help but smile as he answered. "Hey Natalie, that was quick." She laughed. "I figured why not call instead of texting. How's your evening going?" "Pretty good," Daniel replied, leaning back in his chair. "Just finished some work and thought I'd unwind a bit. How about you?" "Same here. I was just thinking about our conversation last weekend. It was really great to see you again." "Yeah, it was. I've missed those talks," Daniel said, a hint of nostalgia in his voice. They chatted for nearly an hour, their conversation flowing effortlessly from topic to topic. They talked about their families, their careers, and even their dreams for the future. It felt like no time had passed since their college days, and Daniel found himself looking forward to their next conversation. One night, as Daniel was scrolling through his news feed, he noticed a post from Chris Miller. It was an invitation to their 25-year college reunion, complete with photos from past reunions and enthusiastic comments from other classmates. "Hey, honey, look at this," Daniel called out to Amanda, who was reading a book on the couch. "Chris Miller just posted about our 25-year college reunion. Can you believe it has been that long?" Amanda put down her book and joined him at the computer. Wow, that is amazing. Are you thinking about going? I think I might, Daniel said, scrolling through the comments. A lot of our old friends are planning to be there. It could be a great opportunity to catch up with everyone. You should definitely go, Amanda encouraged. It'll be fun, and you'll get to see all your old buddies. Daniel nodded. I think you are right. I'll sign up. He registered for the reunion and started planning his trip. As the event drew closer, he exchanged messages with Chris and other classmates, arranging meetups and reminiscing about their college days. The anticipation built with each passing day, and Daniel found himself looking forward to the reunion with growing excitement. The night before the reunion, Daniel received a call from Natalie. Hey, Daniel, are you all set for the reunion tomorrow? She asked. Yep, all set, Daniel replied. I'm really looking forward to it. How about you? Same here. It's going to be great to see everyone again, Natalie said. I've been chatting with a few of our old friends, and they are all excited too. That's awesome. I can't wait to catch up with everyone in person, Daniel said. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. They chatted a bit longer, sharing their excitement and plans for the reunion. As they said their goodbyes, Daniel felt a surge of anticipation. The reunion was not just a chance to reconnect with old friends, but also an opportunity to see Natalie again and continue rebuilding their friendship. The next morning, Daniel packed his bags and set off for the reunion. The drive was filled with memories of his college days, the music on the radio taking him back to a time when life seemed simpler and full of possibilities. As he pulled up to the hotel where the reunion was being held, Daniel spotted a group of familiar faces. Chris Miller was there, along with Nick Harris, Laura Brooks, and a few others. He parked his car and made his way over to them, greeted by a chorus of enthusiastic hellos and warm hugs. Daniel, it's just so great to see you, Chris exclaimed, clapping him on the back. You too, Chris, Daniel replied, grinning from ear to ear. It's been way too long. They spent the next few minutes catching up, the conversation filled with laughter and shared memories. It felt like no time had passed since their college days, and Daniel was reminded of why these friendships had meant so much to him. Hey, Daniel, Nick said, pulling him aside. Guess who else is here? Who? Daniel asked, curious. Natalie Carter, Nick replied, a knowing smile on his face. I saw her checking in earlier. She mentioned she was looking forward to seeing you. Daniel felt a flutter of excitement. That's great. I've been talking to her a lot lately. It'll be good to see her again. As the evening progressed, the reunion officially kicked off with a welcome dinner. The hotel ballroom was filled with tables adorned with class photos, old yearbooks, and decorations in their school colors. Daniel found a seat at a table with Chris, Nick, Laura, and a few other familiar faces. As they settled into their seats, Daniel spotted Natalie across the room. She was talking with a group of friends, her laughter ringing out above the chatter. She looked over and caught his eye, her face lighting up with a smile. Hey, Daniel, Natalie called out, making her way over to their table. Mind if I join you? Not at all, Daniel said, pulling out a chair for her. It's great to see you again. They all settled into their seats, the conversation flowing easily. They shared stories from their college days, catching up on each other's lives and laughing at the memories. The atmosphere was filled with joy and camaraderie, the bonds of friendship as strong as ever. As the night wore on, the group decided to head to the hotel bar for some drinks. They continued their conversations, the laughter and chatter echoing through the bar. Daniel and Natalie found themselves in a quieter corner, their conversation turning more personal. So, how has life been treating you, Daniel? Natalie asked, her eyes filled with genuine interest. It's been good, Daniel replied, taking a sip of his drink. Work is busy, but fulfilling. Amanda and Sophie are doing great. Life has been kind to me. I am glad to hear that, Natalie said, her smile warm. You deserve all the happiness in the world. Thanks, Natalie, Daniel said, his voice soft. It means a lot coming from you. How about you? How's everything on your end? It's been a roller coaster, Natalie admitted. The divorce was tough, but I've found my footing again. Work keeps me busy, and I've made some great friends along the way. And reconnecting with old friends like you has been a blessing. I'm glad we reconnected, Daniel said, his eyes meeting hers. "You've always been an important part of my life, and it's great to have you back in it." Natalie's eyes shimmered with emotion. "You've always been important to me too, Daniel. I've missed our friendship." They continued talking late into the night, their bond growing stronger with each passing moment. As they finally said their goodbyes and headed to their rooms, Daniel felt a sense of contentment. The reunion had been everything he had hoped for and more, a celebration of the past and a promise of continued connections in the future. As he lay in bed that night, Daniel thought about the friendships he had rekindled and the new memories they had made. He was grateful for the journey that had brought him here, and he looked forward to the next chapter with hope and excitement. The future was bright, and the bonds of friendship would continue to light his way. Chapter 4. The Reunion Invitation. The morning sun streamed through the hotel curtains, casting a warm glow across the room. Daniel Mitchell stretched and rubbed the sleep from his eyes, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness about the day ahead. Today was the official start of the 25-year college reunion, and he was eager to see what the day would bring. After a quick shower and a hearty breakfast, Daniel made his way to the hotel's conference center, where the reunion activities were scheduled to take place. The lobby was bustling with energy as old friends greeted each other, laughter and chatter filling the air. Daniel scanned the crowd, looking for familiar faces. "Daniel, over here!" Chris Miller's voice called out from across the room. Daniel turned and saw Chris waving enthusiastically. He made his way over, greeted by Chris, Nick Harris, and a few other old friends. "Good morning, everyone," Daniel said, shaking hands and exchanging hugs. "Ready for a day full of memories?" "Absolutely," Chris replied, grinning. "We've got a lot of catching up to do." The group made their way to the registration table, where they received name tags, schedules, and welcome packets. As they moved through the crowd, Daniel felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned to see Natalie Carter, her smile as bright as ever. "Hey, Daniel," Natalie said, giving him a warm hug. "Good morning. Ready for another day of fun?" "Absolutely," Daniel replied, his heart lifting at the sight of her. "Let's make the most of it." The morning was filled with various activities, including campus tours, seminars, and group discussions. Daniel and Natalie found themselves reminiscing about their college days as they walked through the familiar halls of their old university. The campus had changed in some ways, with new buildings and updated facilities, but the memories remained vivid. During the lunch break, the group gathered in the dining hall, where tables were set up with delicious food and drinks. Daniel and Natalie found a table with Chris, Nick, Laura Brooks, and a few other friends. The conversation flowed easily, filled with laughter and shared memories. "Remember that time we pulled an all-nighter for our final project?" Nick said, chuckling. "We were so exhausted we ended up passing out in the library." "Oh, I remember that," Natalie said, laughing. "We had to present the next morning and we looked like zombies, but we still aced it." Daniel smiled, feeling a warm sense of camaraderie. These were the moments he cherished, the bonds that had stood the test of time. As the afternoon activities began, Daniel and Natalie decided to join a seminar on personal growth and career development. The speaker, a successful entrepreneur and alumni, shared insights on achieving success and finding fulfillment in both personal and professional lives. During the Q&A session, Natalie raised her hand. "What advice would you give to someone who's looking to make a major career change later in life?" The speaker smiled. "Great question. It is never too late to pursue your passion. The key is to stay true to yourself, be open to learning new skills, and surround yourself with supportive people. It is all about taking that first step and believing in your ability to succeed." Natalie nodded thoughtfully, her eyes meeting Daniel's. He could see the wheels turning in her mind, and he felt a surge of admiration for her determination. After the seminar, they joined the others for a group photo in front of the iconic university fountain. The photographer directed them to arrange themselves, and as they huddled together, Daniel felt a sense of unity and belonging. "Say cheese!" the photographer called out, capturing the moment forever. As the sun began to set, the group headed back to the hotel to prepare for the evening's gala dinner. Daniel changed into a suit and tie, feeling a mix of anticipation and excitement. The ballroom was beautifully decorated with twinkling lights, elegant table settings, and a dance floor in the center. Daniel found a seat at a table with Natalie, Chris, Nick, Laura, and a few other friends. The evening began with a welcome speech from the Alumni Association president, followed by a delicious meal and lively conversation. As the dinner plates were cleared away, the band started playing, and the dance floor quickly filled with couples swaying to the music. Daniel watched as Natalie was approached by one of their old friends who invited her to dance. She accepted with a smile, and Daniel felt a pang of envy as he watched them move gracefully across the floor. "Why don't you ask her to dance?" Laura said, nudging Daniel with a knowing smile. Daniel hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "You're right. I should." As the song ended and Natalie returned to the table, Daniel stood up and extended his hand. "May I have this dance?" Natalie's eyes sparkled with delight. "I'd love to." They made their way to the dance floor, and as the music started, Daniel gently took Natalie's hand and placed his other hand on her waist. They swayed to the rhythm, their movements in perfect harmony. "This feels like old times," Natalie said softly, looking up at Daniel. "It does," Daniel replied, his voice equally soft. "Ivy missed this." As the song continued, Daniel felt a connection that transcended time and distance. He realized that Natalie had always held a special place in his heart, and being with her now felt right. When the music finally stopped, they stood there for a moment, savoring the closeness. Daniel reluctantly released Natalie's hand, and they made their way back to the table, where their friends were waiting. "Great job out there," Nick said, clapping Daniel on the back. "Thanks, Nick," Daniel replied, smiling. The rest of the evening was filled with more dancing, laughter, and heartfelt conversations. As the night drew to a close, the group made their way back to their rooms, promising to meet up for breakfast the next morning. As Daniel lay in bed, he reflected on the day's events. The reunion had been a whirlwind of emotions, and he felt a renewed sense of connection with his old friends. He was grateful for the memories they had created and the friendships that had stood the test of time. The next morning, Daniel joined the group for breakfast in the hotel's dining room. The atmosphere was relaxed, and the conversation flowed easily as they enjoyed their meal. "So what is the plan for today?" Chris asked, looking around the table. "I was thinking of checking out the art exhibit at the Student Center," Laura said. "I've heard it is really good." "That sounds like a great idea," Daniel replied. "I'd love to join you." The group agreed to meet at the Student Center after breakfast. As they made their way there, Daniel walked alongside Natalie, enjoying their easy conversation. The art exhibit was impressive, showcasing works from both current students and alumni. Daniel and Natalie wandered through the gallery, admiring the paintings, sculptures, and photographs. "These pieces are amazing," Natalie said, stopping in front of a particularly striking painting. "It's inspiring to see so much talent." "I agree," Daniel said, his eyes lingering on the artwork. "It makes me want to pick up a paintbrush again." "You should," Natalie encouraged. "You were always so talented in college. I remember your art projects being some of the best in our class." "Thanks, Natalie," Daniel said, feeling a surge of pride. "Maybe I will." As they continued to explore the exhibit, Daniel felt a sense of renewal. The reunion had not only reconnected him with old friends, but also reignited his passion for creativity and personal growth. Later that afternoon, the group gathered for a farewell picnic on the university's main lawn. The atmosphere was relaxed and joyful, with everyone sharing stories and enjoying the beautiful weather. Daniel felt a deep sense of contentment as he sat with his friends, savoring the simple pleasures of good food and great company. As the picnic came to an end, Daniel and Natalie found a quiet spot under a tree to talk. "This weekend has been incredible," Daniel said, looking at Natalie. "I'm so glad we reconnected." "Me too," Natalie replied, her eyes filled with warmth. "It's been a blessing to have you back in my life, Daniel." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the sun set over the campus. Daniel felt a sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that the bonds of friendship and the memories they had created would stay with him forever. As the evening drew to a close, The group said their goodbyes, promising to stay in touch and make plans for future reunions. Daniel felt a mixture of sadness and gratitude as he hugged his friends, knowing that this weekend had been a turning point in his life. As he drove home, Daniel reflected on the lessons he had learned and the connections he had rekindled. He was grateful for the journey that had brought him here and looked forward to the future with hope and excitement. The bonds of friendship would continue to light his way, and he knew that the best was yet to come. Chapter 5. The Unexpected Encounter. The reunion weekend had been a whirlwind of emotions and memories for Daniel. As he settled back into his routine at home, he found himself replaying the moments in his mind, particularly the time spent with Natalie. Their connection felt deeper than ever, and he was grateful for the opportunity to rekindle their friendship. One evening, about a week after the reunion, Daniel received a text from Natalie. "Hey Daniel, it was so great seeing you last weekend. I was wondering if you'd like to grab lunch sometime soon. There's a new bistro downtown that I've been wanting to try." Daniel's heart skipped a beat as he read the message. He quickly typed a reply. "Hey Natalie, I'd love to. How about this Saturday at 1 p.m.? Natalie responded almost immediately. "Sounds perfect. See you then." The rest of the week flew by as Daniel anticipated their lunch date. On Saturday, he arrived at the bistro a few minutes early, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. The bistro was charming, with a cozy interior and a menu filled with mouth-watering options. Natalie arrived right on time, her smile lighting up the room. "Hey Daniel, it's great to see you again." "You too, Natalie," Daniel replied, standing up to give her a hug. "This place looks amazing." They found a table by the window and settled in, the conversation flowing easily. They talked about their lives since the reunion, sharing updates on work, family, and personal projects. "I've been thinking about picking up painting again," Daniel said, glancing at Natalie. "Our visit to the art exhibit at the reunion really inspired me." "That is wonderful, Daniel," Natalie said, her eyes lighting up. "You were always so talented. I'd love to see some of your work once you get back into it." "I'll definitely share it with you," Daniel replied, feeling a surge of excitement at the prospect. As they continued to talk, Daniel felt a deepening connection with Natalie. Their conversations were filled with laughter and shared memories, and he realized how much he valued her presence in his life. After lunch, they decided to take a walk through the nearby park. The weather was perfect, with a gentle breeze and the sun shining down on them. They strolled along the paths, enjoying the sights and sounds of nature. "Daniel, there's something I have been wanting to talk to you about," Natalie said, her voice hesitant. "What is it?" Daniel asked, turning to look at her. "It's about my divorce," Natalie began, her expression serious. "There's more to the story than I've shared. My ex-husband Jacob and I had a very complicated relationship. We tried to make it work for years, but it just wasn't healthy for either of us. I want to be honest with you because I value our friendship, and I don't want there to be any secrets between us." Daniel listened intently, his heart aching for Natalie. "I appreciate your honesty, Natalie. It sounds like you've been through a lot." "I have," Natalie admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "But reconnecting with you has been one of the best things that's happened to me in a long time. I feel like I can be myself with you, and that means the world to me." Daniel reached out and took her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "I'm here for you, Natalie, no matter what." They continued their walk in comfortable silence, the bond between them growing stronger with each step. Daniel felt a sense of peace and contentment, knowing that they had shared a moment of deep honesty and understanding. As the afternoon turned into evening, they reluctantly said their goodbyes, promising to stay in touch and make plans for their next outing. Daniel watched Natalie walk away, feeling a sense of hope and excitement for what the future might hold. The next few weeks were filled with a flurry of activity for Daniel. He threw himself into his work, but he also made time for his newfound passion for painting. He set up a small studio in the spare room at home, and every evening he would spend a few hours lost in the world of colors and creativity. One evening, as Daniel was finishing up a painting, his phone buzzed with a new message. It was from Natalie. Hey, Daniel, I am in town for a few days. Would you like to meet up for dinner? Daniel's heart leaped with excitement as he read the message. He quickly typed a reply. I'd love to. How about tomorrow night at 7? We could try that new Italian restaurant on Main Street. Perfect. See you then, Natalie replied. The next evening, Daniel arrived at the restaurant a few minutes early. The place was bustling with activity, the aroma of freshly cooked Italian food filling the air. He found a table near the back, where it was quieter, and waited for Natalie to arrive. When she walked in, Daniel couldn't help but smile. She looked radiant, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Hey, Daniel, Natalie said, giving him a warm hug. It's great to see you again. You too, Natalie, Daniel replied, his heart swelling with happiness. They sat down and ordered their food, the conversation flowing easily. They talked about their latest projects, their families, and their dreams for the future. I've been thinking a lot about what I want to do next, Natalie said, her voice filled with determination. I've always wanted to start my own business, and I think now is the right time. That's amazing, Natalie, Daniel said, his eyes shining with admiration. What kind of business are you thinking about? I am passionate about wellness and helping people lead healthier lives, Natalie explained. I want to open a wellness center that offers yoga, meditation, and holistic health services. That sounds incredible, Daniel said, genuinely impressed. I think you'd be great at it. Thanks, Daniel, Natalie said, her smile warm. Your support means a lot to me. As the evening went on, Daniel felt a deepening connection with Natalie. Their conversations were filled with laughter and shared dreams, and he realized how much he valued her presence in his life. After dinner, they decided to take a walk along the riverfront. The night was clear, the moon casting a silvery glow over the water. They strolled along the path, their footsteps echoing in the quiet night. Daniel, I've been thinking about us, Natalie said, her voice soft. We have reconnected in such a meaningful way, and I can't help but wonder if there's more to our relationship than just friendship. Daniel's heart skipped a beat as he looked at Natalie. I've been thinking about that too, he admitted. I feel a strong connection with you, Natalie. It's like we've picked up right where we left off. Natalie smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. I feel the same way, Daniel. I think we should explore this connection and see where it takes us. I'd like that, Daniel said, his voice filled with sincerity. Let's take it one step at a time and see what happens. They continued their walk, hand in hand, the future stretching out before them like a blank canvas, ready to be filled with new memories and experiences. As they said their goodbyes that night, Daniel felt a sense of excitement and hope. He knew that whatever happened, he and Natalie would face it together, their bond stronger than ever. In the days that followed, Daniel and Natalie continued to spend time together, their relationship growing deeper with each passing moment. They shared their dreams, supported each other as goals, and found joy in the simple pleasures of life. One evening, as Daniel was working on a new painting, his phone buzzed with a message from Natalie. Hey, Daniel, I've got some exciting news. I found the perfect location for my wellness center. I'd love for you to come and see it. Daniel's heart soared with happiness as he read the message. He quickly replied, That is fantastic news, Natalie. I'd love to see it. When can we meet? How about tomorrow afternoon at 3? Natalie suggested. Perfect. See you then, Daniel replied. The next day, Daniel arrived at the address Natalie had given him. The building was charming, with large windows that let in plenty of natural light. He could already envision the wellness center coming to life. Natalie greeted him at the door, her excitement palpable. Daniel, I'm so glad you are here. Come on in and take a look around. They walked through the building, Natalie sharing her vision for each room. Daniel could see the passion in her eyes, and he felt a surge of pride for her. This place is perfect, Natalie, Daniel said, his voice filled with admiration. I can see your dream coming to life here. Thank you, Daniel, Natalie said, her eyes shining with gratitude. Your support means the world to me. As they stood in the empty space, Daniel felt a sense of possibility and excitement. He knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, filled with dreams, love, and endless possibilities. Together, they would face whatever challenges came their way, their bond stronger than ever. And as they looked towards the future, Daniel knew that the best was yet to come. Chapter 6. Hidden Truths Revealed. Daniel's days were becoming more vibrant and fulfilling, filled with new activities and rekindled passions. His paintings were taking shape beautifully, and he found great joy in sharing his progress with Natalie. The bond they had forged over the past weeks was growing stronger, and he cherished every moment spent with her. One Friday evening, after a productive day at work, Daniel received a call from Natalie. Her voice sounded a bit hesitant, yet determined. "Hey, Daniel, are you free tomorrow afternoon? I need to talk to you about something important," Natalie said. Daniel's curiosity was piqued, but he responded warmly. "Of course, Natalie. Is everything okay?" "Yeah, everything's fine. I just need to discuss something in person. Can we meet at the park around 2 p.m.? "Sure thing. I'll see you then," Daniel replied, sensing the weight of what she wanted to share. The next day, Daniel arrived at the park a little early. He found a quiet bench under a large oak tree and waited, enjoying the serene environment. When Natalie arrived, she looked radiant yet slightly anxious. She gave him a warm hug before sitting down next to him. "Daniel, there's something I've been keeping from you, and I feel it is time to come clean," Natalie began, her eyes searching his for understanding. Daniel felt a pang of worry but nodded for her to continue. "Whatever it is, Natalie, you can tell me. I am here for you." Natalie took a deep breath. "I told you about my divorce from Jacob, but there's more to the story. Our relationship was complicated, and there were times I wasn't completely honest. We tried to make it work, but Jacob was very controlling, and I felt trapped. That's when I reconnected with you on social media. I wasn't looking for anything, but our conversations made me realize how unhappy I was." Daniel listened intently, his heart aching for her. "I am sorry you had to go through that, Natalie. I wish you had told me sooner." "I know, and I'm sorry for not being completely upfront," Natalie continued. "Jacob found out about our messages and confronted me. He accused me of having an affair, even though nothing physical happened between us at that time. It was the final straw, and I decided to leave him for good." Daniel felt a mix of emotions: relief that Natalie had left an unhealthy relationship, but also concern for what she had been through. "I'm glad you got out of that situation, Natalie. You deserve to be happy and free." "Thank you, Daniel," Natalie said, her voice filled with gratitude. "I needed to tell you this because I value our relationship, and I don't want any secrets between us." "I appreciate your honesty, Natalie," Daniel replied, his voice steady. "It means a lot to me. And for the record, I am here for you, no matter what." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of Natalie's confession settling between them. Then Daniel took her hand and squeezed it gently. "Let us move forward together with honesty and trust." Natalie smiled, a tear escaping down her cheek. "I did like that very much." The rest of the afternoon was spent walking through the park, their conversation lighter and filled with hope for the future. Daniel felt a renewed sense of connection with Natalie, knowing that they had overcome another hurdle together. As evening approached, they decided to have dinner at a nearby restaurant. The atmosphere was cozy, with soft music playing in the background. They found a table by the window and settled in, the earlier tension replaced by a sense of closeness. "Daniel, there's one more thing I need to share," Natalie said, her voice soft. "After I left Jacob, he tried to make things difficult for me. He didn't want to let go, and he threatened to ruin my career. It was a challenging time, but I managed to rebuild my life. That is why opening the wellness center means so much to me. It is a symbol of my freedom and new beginnings." Daniel's heart swelled with admiration for Natalie's strength and resilience. "You've been through so much, Natalie. I am so proud of you for overcoming those challenges and for pursuing your dreams." "Thank you, Daniel," Natalie said, her eyes shining with emotion. "Your support has been a huge part of my healing process. I'm grateful to have you in my life." They continued their dinner, their conversation flowing easily. Daniel felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that their relationship was built on a foundation of trust and honesty. Later that night, as Daniel drove home, he reflected on the day's events. He was grateful for Natalie's honesty and for the bond they had strengthened. He knew that their relationship would only grow stronger from here on out. The next morning, Daniel received an unexpected call from an unknown number. Hesitant, he answered the phone. "Hello, is this Daniel Mitchell?" a stern voice on the other end asked. "Yes, this is Daniel. Who's calling?" he replied, curiosity and concern mingling in his mind. "This is Jacob Evans," the voice continued. "Natalie's ex-husband. We need to talk." Daniel's heart raced. "What do you want, Jacob?" "I want to meet in person." "There are things you need to know about Natalie," Jacob said, his tone serious. Daniel felt a surge of protectiveness for Natalie, but also a need to hear what Jacob had to say. "Fine. Where and when?" "Tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the coffee shop on Oak Street," Jacob replied. "Don T. be late." The call ended abruptly, leaving Daniel with a sense of unease. He debated whether to tell Natalie about the meeting, but decided it was best to hear Jacob out first. The next day, Daniel arrived at the coffee shop a few minutes early. He found a table in a quiet corner and waited, his mind racing with thoughts of what Jacob might say. When Jacob walked in, Daniel was struck by his imposing presence. He was tall, with a stern expression and a confident stride. "Daniel," Jacob said, sitting down across from him. "Thank you for meeting me." "Let's get to the point, Jacob," Daniel replied, his voice steady. "What do you want to tell me?" Jacob leaned forward, his eyes intense. "I know you and Natalie have reconnected. I'm not here to cause trouble, but there are things you need to know about her. Our marriage was far from perfect, but it wasn't all my fault. Natalie had her secrets, too." Daniel listened, his heart pounding. "What do you mean?" "Natalie wasn't completely honest with you about our relationship," Jacob said. "She had her own reasons for leaving, and it wasn't just because of me. She was involved with someone else before we separated. It wasn't physical, but it was emotional, and it wasn't the first time she sought comfort outside our marriage." Daniel felt a knot form in his stomach. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because you deserve to know the truth," Jacob replied. "Natalie has a way of making people believe she is the victim, but there's more to her story. I just thought you should hear my side." Daniel felt a mix of anger and confusion. He had trusted Natalie, and hearing Jacob's version of events shook him. "I appreciate you telling me this, Jacob, but I need to hear it from Natalie." Jacob nodded. "I understand. Just be careful, Daniel. Not everything is as it seems." As Jacob left, Daniel sat in the coffee shop, his mind racing. He needed to talk to Natalie, to get her side of the story. He called her, asking to meet up later that evening. When they met at the park, Daniel felt a mixture of anger and hurt. "Natalie, I met with Jacob today. He told me some things about your past, about our relationship. I need to hear the truth from you." Natalie's face paled, but she met his gaze steadily. "Daniel, I was afraid this would happen. There are things I haven't told you, and I am sorry for that. But I need you to know that my feelings for you are real. Then tell me everything, Natalie." "No more secrets," Daniel said, his voice firm. Natalie took a deep breath and began to explain. "Jacob and I had a complicated marriage. It wasn't all his fault, and I made mistakes too. I did seek comfort from others emotionally, but never physically. I was lonely and unhappy, and I made poor choices. But when I reconnected with you, it made me realize how much I needed to change my life. I am sorry for not being completely honest, but I never wanted to hurt you." Daniel listened, his heart heavy with conflicting emotions. "I appreciate your honesty, Natalie, but this is a lot to take in." "I know, and I am sorry," Natalie said, tears in her eyes. "I understand if you need time to process this, but please know that I care about you deeply, and I want us to have a future together." Daniel felt a wave of emotion wash over him. He needed time to think, to process everything he had learned. "I need some time, Natalie. This is a lot to take in." "I understand," Natalie said, her voice trembling. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you are ready." As they parted ways, Daniel felt a sense of uncertainty. He cared deeply for Natalie, but he needed to reconcile her past with their potential future. He spent the next few days reflecting on their relationship, weighing the honesty she had finally shown against the secrets she had kept. Ultimately, Daniel decided to give their relationship a chance. He realized that everyone had a past, and it was their willingness to move forward with honesty and trust that mattered most. He called Natalie and asked to meet her at the park again. When they met, Daniel took her hands in his and looked into her eyes. "Natalie, I've thought a lot about everything you told me. I still care about you, and I believe in our connection. Let's move forward together with honesty and trust." Natalie's eyes filled with tears of relief. "Thank you, Daniel. I promise to always be honest with you. I want us to build a future together." They embraced, knowing that their relationship had been tested and had emerged stronger. As they walked through the park, hand in hand, Daniel felt a renewed sense of hope and excitement for the future. He knew that, together, they could face whatever challenges came their way. Chapter 7. Confrontation and Confession. The days following Daniel and Natalie's heartfelt conversation were a whirlwind of emotions. While Daniel felt reassured by Natalie's honesty, the confrontation with Jacob lingered in his mind, casting a shadow over his thoughts. Determined to find clarity, Daniel decided to focus on the present and the future, hoping that time would help heal any lingering doubts. One sunny Saturday morning, Daniel decided to visit his favorite coffee shop downtown to clear his mind and perhaps work on a new painting idea. As he walked in, the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee greeted him, and he made his way to a cozy corner table with his sketchpad and pencils. Just as he was getting comfortable, he heard a familiar voice call his name. Looking up, he saw Chris Miller approaching, a wide grin on his face. "Daniel, what a pleasant surprise," Chris exclaimed, pulling out a chair to join him. "Hey, Chris. Good to see you," Daniel replied, genuinely pleased to see his old friend. "How have you been?" "Can't complain," Chris said, sitting down. "Life has been busy, but good. How about you? How are things with Natalie?" Daniel hesitated for a moment before responding. "Things are good, mostly. We had a bit of a rough patch, but we're working through it." Chris raised an eyebrow. "Rough patch? What happened?" Daniel sighed, deciding to confide in his friend. "I found out some things about Natalie's past that she hadn't told me. It was tough, but she came clean, and we're trying to move forward." Chris nodded thoughtfully. "Relationships can be complicated, but it sounds like you're both committed to making it work. That is what matters." "You are right," Daniel agreed, feeling a bit more reassured. "Thanks for the perspective, Chris." They continued chatting, catching up on each other's lives and reminiscing about old times. As they talked, Daniel felt a renewed sense of friendship and support, which helped lift his spirits. Later that afternoon, as Daniel was getting ready to leave the coffee shop, his phone buzzed with a new message from Natalie. "Hey, Daniel. I was wondering if you'd like to come over for dinner tonight. I've been thinking about us a lot and would love to spend some time together." Daniel smiled as he read the message. "I'd love to. What time?" "Come over around 7. "I'll cook something special," Natalie replied. That evening, Daniel arrived at Natalie's place with a bottle of wine. As she opened the door, he was greeted by the delicious aroma of home-cooked food and her warm, inviting smile. "Hey there," Natalie said, giving him a hug. "Come on in." The evening was perfect. They shared a delicious meal, accompanied by laughter and deep conversation. As they sat on the couch afterwards sipping wine, Natalie took a deep breath and turned to Daniel. "Daniel, there's something I need to talk to you about," she began, her tone serious. "It's about Jacob." Daniel's heart sank slightly, but he nodded for her to continue. "What is it, Natalie?" "Jacob reached out to me after your meeting," Natalie said, her eyes filled with concern. "He told me about your conversation, and I want you to know that I appreciate how you handled it. But there's more to the story, and I feel you deserve to know everything." Daniel listened intently as Natalie continued. "Jacob has always had a way of twisting the truth to suit his narrative. While it's true that our marriage was complicated and that I made mistakes, he wasn't entirely honest with you about his own actions. He had his own secrets, and his controlling behavior was part of what drove me away." Natalie's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I didn't want to burden you with all the details, but I realize now that honesty is the only way we can move forward. Jacob's accusations about me seeking comfort outside our marriage were partly true, but it was a result of feeling isolated and unloved. I regret those decisions, but I want you to understand the context. Daniel felt a wave of empathy for Natalie. I appreciate your honesty, Natalie. It takes a lot of courage to share all of this. I want us to move forward with a clean slate, and that means understanding each other completely. Natalie smiled through her tears. Thank you, Daniel. That means the world to me. They spent the rest of the evening talking about their hopes and dreams, reaffirming their commitment to each other. The honesty and openness between them deepened their bond, and Daniel felt a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. The next few weeks were a time of growth and healing for Daniel and Natalie. They spent more time together, exploring new hobbies and supporting each other's goals. Daniel's painting studio became a sanctuary for creativity and expression, and he found great joy in sharing his art with Natalie. One afternoon, as Daniel was putting the finishing touches on a new painting, he received a call from Amanda. Hey Daniel, how are things? Amanda asked, her voice cheerful. Hey Amanda, things are good, Daniel replied. How about you? Great. I wanted to check in and see if you'd like to come over for dinner this weekend. Sophie has been asking about you, and it would be nice to catch up. Daniel felt a warmth in his heart at the thought of spending time with his family. I'd love to. How about Saturday evening? Perfect. We'll see you then, Amanda said, her smile evident in her voice. Saturday evening arrived, and Daniel made his way to Amanda's house. As he walked in, he was greeted by Sophie's enthusiastic hug and Amanda's warm smile. Dad, it's so good to see you, Sophie exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with joy. It's great to see you too, sweetheart, Daniel replied, feeling a surge of happiness. As they sat down to dinner, the conversation flowed easily. They talked about Sophie's school projects, Amanda's latest work endeavors, and Daniel's painting. The warmth and love in the room were palpable, and Daniel felt a deep sense of gratitude for his family. After dinner, as they sat in the living room, Sophie turned to Daniel with a curious expression. Dad, how are things with Natalie? Daniel smiled, appreciating his daughter's concern. Things are going well, Sophie. We've had our challenges, but we are working through them together. That's good to hear, Amanda said, her eyes filled with warmth. You deserve to be happy, Daniel. Thanks, Amanda, Daniel replied, feeling a renewed sense of connection with his family. As the evening came to a close, Daniel said his goodbyes and headed home. He felt a sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that he had the love and support of both his family and Natalie. The following week, as Daniel was working in his studio, he received a call from Natalie. Hey Daniel, I have some exciting news, Natalie said, her voice bubbling with excitement. What is it? Daniel asked, curious. I found the perfect place for my wellness center, Natalie said. It's everything I've been looking for, and I want you to come see it. Daniel felt a surge of happiness for Natalie. That's fantastic, Natalie. I'd love to see it. When can we meet? How about tomorrow afternoon at 2? Natalie suggested. Sounds perfect. I'll see you then, Daniel replied. The next day, Daniel arrived at the address Natalie had given him. The building was charming, with large windows and plenty of natural light. He could already envision the wellness center coming to life. Natalie greeted him at the door, her excitement palpable. Daniel, I am so glad you are here. Come on in and take a look around. They walked through the building, Natalie sharing her vision for each room. Daniel could see the passion in her eyes, and he felt a surge of pride for her. This place is perfect, Natalie, Daniel said, his voice filled with admiration. I can see your dream coming to life here. Thank you, Daniel, Natalie said, her eyes shining with gratitude. Your support means the world to me. As they stood in the empty space, Daniel felt a sense of possibility and excitement. He knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, filled with dreams, love, and endless possibilities. Together they would face whatever challenges came their way, their bond stronger than ever. And as they looked towards the future, Daniel knew that the best was yet to come. Chapter 8. The Final Goodbye. The next few weeks were a blend of excitement and anticipation for both Daniel and Natalie. Natalie was deeply immersed in setting up her wellness center, while Daniel continued to support her while balancing his work and painting. Their relationship had grown stronger, and Daniel felt a profound connection with Natalie. One Friday evening, as Daniel was finishing up a painting, he received a call from Natalie. Her voice was a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Hey Daniel, I've finally set a date for the grand opening of the wellness center," Natalie said, her voice bubbling with excitement. "That is fantastic, Natalie. When is it?" Daniel asked, feeling a surge of pride for her accomplishment. "Next Saturday at 3 p.m., Natalie replied. "I'd love for you to be there, and I am inviting a few close friends and family. It's going to be a small, intimate gathering." "I wouldn't miss it for the world," Daniel said, his voice warm. "I'm so proud of you, Natalie." The following week was filled with preparations for the grand opening. Daniel helped Natalie with the final touches, ensuring everything was perfect for the big day. As the day approached, he felt a mixture of excitement and pride, knowing how much this meant to Natalie. On the day of the opening, Daniel arrived at the wellness center early to help Natalie with the final arrangements. The space looked beautiful, with soft lighting, calming music, and elegant decor. The atmosphere was serene and inviting, a perfect reflection of Natalie's vision. As guests began to arrive, Daniel mingled with them, feeling a sense of joy and fulfillment. He watched as Natalie greeted each person with warmth and gratitude, her passion and dedication shining through. "Thank you all for being here today," Natalie said, addressing the small crowd. "This wellness center has been a dream of mine for a long time, and I couldn't have done it without the support of my friends and family. I'm grateful for each and every one of you." As the applause died down, Daniel felt a surge of pride and happiness. He knew how much this moment meant to Natalie, and he was honored to be a part of it. Later that evening, as the guests began to leave, Daniel and Natalie sat together in the cozy lounge area of the wellness center, reflecting on the day's events. "You did an amazing job, Natalie," Daniel said, his voice filled with admiration. "This place is incredible, and I am so proud of you." "Thank you, Daniel," Natalie replied, her eyes shining with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without your support." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, enjoying the tranquility of the space they had created. Daniel felt a deep sense of contentment, knowing that their relationship was built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. As the evening wore on, Daniel received a call from an unknown number. Hesitant, he answered the phone. "Hello, is this Daniel Mitchell?" a familiar voice asked. "Yes, this is Daniel. Who is calling?" he replied, feeling a sense of déjà vu. "It's Jacob Evans. We need to talk again," Jacob said, his tone serious. Daniel felt a knot form in his stomach. "What do you want, Jacob? I need to meet you in person." "There are things we need to discuss about Natalie," Jacob said. Daniel's mind raced, filled with apprehension. "Fine. Where and when?" "Tomorrow at 4 p.m. at the park," Jacob replied. "I'll be waiting." The call ended abruptly, leaving Daniel with a sense of unease. He debated whether to tell Natalie about the meeting, but decided to hear Jacob out first. The next afternoon, Daniel arrived at the park, feeling a mix of anxiety and determination. He found Jacob sitting on a bench, his expression unreadable. "Daniel," Jacob said, standing up to greet him. "Thanks for coming. Let's get to the point, Jacob." "What do you want to talk about?" Daniel asked, his voice steady. "I have been thinking a lot about our last conversation," Jacob began. "I realized that I might have come across as trying to sabotage your relationship with Natalie. That wasn't my intention. I just wanted you to know the full story." "I appreciate your honesty, Jacob," Daniel replied, feeling a sense of unease. "But what exactly do you want from me? I want you to understand that Natalie isn't the person she appears to be. She has had a difficult past, and she has made mistakes, but she is also resilient and determined. I didn't handle our marriage well, and I am partly to blame for what happened. I don't want to cause her any more pain," Jacob said, his voice filled with regret. Daniel listened, feeling a mix of emotions. "Why are you telling me this now, Jacob? Because I've realized that holding on to anger and resentment won't help anyone. I've seen how happy you make Natalie, and I don't want to stand in the way of that. I want you to know that I am letting go of the past and moving on," Jacob said, his tone sincere. Daniel felt a sense of relief wash over him. "Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that." They shook hands, a silent understanding passing between them. As Daniel walked away, he felt a weight lift off his shoulders. He knew that this confrontation had brought closure, allowing him and Natalie to move forward without the shadows of the past. When he returned to Natalie's place, she could sense that something was different. "Daniel, is everything okay?" she asked, her eyes filled with concern. "Everything's fine, Natalie," Daniel replied, smiling. "I just had a conversation with Jacob. He's finally letting go of the past, and I think it is a good thing for all of us." Natalie's eyes softened. "I'm glad to hear that. It's time for us to focus on the future." They embraced, knowing that their relationship had emerged stronger from the trials they had faced. As they looked towards the future, Daniel felt a renewed sense of hope and excitement. In the weeks that followed, Daniel and Natalie continued to build their life together. They supported each other's dreams, shared their joys and challenges, and found comfort in each other's presence. Daniel's painting flourished, and Natalie's wellness center became a beacon of hope and healing for the community. One evening, as they sat on the porch of Natalie's house watching the sunset, Daniel took her hand in his. "Natalie, I've been thinking a lot about us and our future," Daniel began, his voice filled with emotion. "I can't imagine my life without you. You've brought so much joy and meaning into my life, and I want to spend the rest of my days with you." Natalie's eyes filled with tears of happiness. "Daniel, I feel the same way. You've shown me what true love and partnership mean, and I am so grateful for you." Daniel smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment and contentment. "Natalie, will you marry me?" Natalie's face lit up with joy. "Yes, Daniel, I will." They embraced, their hearts full of love and promise for the future. As they watched the sun set, casting a golden glow over the horizon, they knew that their journey together was just beginning. They would face whatever challenges came their way, their bond unbreakable and their love unwavering. And as they looked towards the future, Daniel knew that the best was yet to come. Chapter 9. New Beginnings. The weeks following Daniel's proposal were a whirlwind of planning and excitement. Daniel and Natalie were determined to make their wedding a celebration of their love and the journey they had shared. They wanted it to be a gathering of close friends and family, filled with joy, laughter, and heartfelt moments. One sunny afternoon, Daniel and Natalie sat together in their favorite cafe, going over their wedding plans. They had chosen a beautiful garden venue that offered a serene and picturesque setting for their special day. "I can't believe we are getting married," Natalie said, her eyes shining with happiness. "It feels like a dream." "It is a dream come true," Daniel replied, taking her hand in his. "I can't wait to start this new chapter with you." As they discussed the details, they made sure to include personal touches that reflected their unique journey. They chose a local band that played their favorite songs, selected a menu featuring their favorite dishes, and even planned a special art corner where guests could create their own paintings as a keepsake. The days flew by, and soon it was the eve of their wedding. Daniel and Natalie decided to spend the evenings separately with their respective friends and family. Daniel was at his house with his best friends, Chris Miller and Nick Harris, along with his daughter Sophie. "This is it, Daniel," Chris said, raising a toast. "Tomorrow you're marrying the love of your life. How do you feel?" "Nervous but excited," Daniel admitted, clinking glasses with his friends. "I'm just grateful to have you all here with me." "We wouldn't miss it for the world," Nick said, grinning. "You deserve all the happiness, Daniel." As they chatted and reminisced about old times, Sophie came over and hugged her father. "I'm so happy for you, Dad. Natalie is wonderful, and I'm glad you found each other." "Thanks, sweetheart," Daniel said, his heart swelling with love. "It means a lot to have your support." Meanwhile, Natalie was at her place with her close friends and family, including Laura Brooks and her sister Emily. They were all gathered around, sharing stories and laughter. "Natalie, you are glowing," Emily said, smiling warmly. "I have never seen you this happy." "I am happy," Natalie replied, her eyes sparkling. "Daniel has brought so much joy into my life, and I can't wait to marry him." Laura raised her glass. "To Natalie and Daniel, may your love continue to grow and bring you endless happiness." The next morning, the garden venue was bustling with activity as final preparations were made for the wedding. The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the beautifully decorated space. Guests began to arrive, filling the air with excitement and anticipation. Daniel stood at the altar, his heart pounding with emotion, as he watched the guests take their seats. He spotted Amanda and Sophie sitting in the front row, their smiles reassuring him. Chris and Nick stood by his side, offering their silent support. When the music started, all eyes turned to the gardeness entrance. Natalie appeared, looking radiant in her wedding dress, her eyes locked on Daniel. As she walked down the aisle, escorted by her father, Daniel felt tears of joy welling up in his eyes. When Natalie reached the altar, she and Daniel joined hands, their hearts beating in unison. The officiant began the ceremony, speaking words of love, commitment, and unity. Daniel and Natalie, today you stand before your loved ones to declare your love and commitment to each other. Your journey has been filled with challenges, growth, and deep connection. As you exchange your vows, remember that love is a promise to support, cherish, and stand by each other through all of life's moments. Daniel and Natalie exchanged heartfelt vows, their voices trembling with emotion. Natalie, from the moment we reconnected, you brought light and joy into my life. I promise to love you, support you, and stand by you through every challenge and triumph. You are my best friend, my confidant, and my true love, Daniel said, his eyes filled with love. Daniel, you have shown me what true love and partnership mean. I promise to love you, honor you, and cherish every moment we share. Together we are stronger, and I am grateful for the journey that brought us here. You are my heart, my strength, and my forever, Natalie replied, her voice filled with emotion. As they exchanged rings, a sense of completeness and unity enveloped them. The officiant pronounced them husband and wife, and Daniel and Natalie shared their first kiss as a married couple, the crowd erupting in applause and cheers. The reception that followed was a joyful celebration of love, friendship, and new beginnings. The band played lively tunes, and guests filled the dance floor, laughing and dancing under the twinkling lights. Daniel and Natalie moved from table to table, thanking their guests and sharing moments of joy. At the art corner, guests created beautiful paintings capturing the spirit of the day in colorful brushstrokes. Daniel and Natalie admired the artwork, touched by the creativity and love that went into each piece. As the night went on, Daniel and Natalie found a quiet moment to themselves, sitting on a bench overlooking the garden. This has been the most perfect day, Natalie said, resting her head on Daniel's shoulder. It really has, Daniel agreed, wrapping his arm around her. I am so grateful for you, Natalie. I can wait to see what the future holds for us. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars twinkle above them. In that moment, they felt a deep sense of peace and contentment, knowing that they were exactly where they were meant to be. The next morning, Daniel and Natalie woke up to a beautiful sunrise, the first light of their new life together. They decided to spend their honeymoon exploring a picturesque coastal town filled with charming cafes, scenic views, and endless opportunities for adventure. As they walked along the beach, hand in hand, they talked about their dreams and aspirations. They made plans for the future, filled with hope and excitement. Natalie, I've been thinking about expanding my art studio, Daniel said, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. I want to create a space where people can come and explore their creativity. That sounds amazing, Daniel, Natalie replied, her voice filled with support. I'd love to help you make that dream a reality, and I want to support your wellness center in any way I can, Daniel added. Your passion and dedication inspire me every day. Together, they mapped out their future, filled with shared dreams and mutual support. They knew that their journey would be filled with ups and downs, but they were ready to face it all, hand in hand. As they watched the waves crash against the shore, Daniel felt a deep sense of gratitude for the love and partnership they had found. He knew that their love was a rare and precious gift, and he was determined to cherish it every day. The days of their honeymoon were filled with laughter, exploration, and deep connection. They hiked through scenic trails, enjoyed delicious meals at local restaurants, and spent quiet evenings watching the sunset. One evening, as they sat by a bonfire on the beach, Daniel turned to Natalie, his eyes filled with love. "Natalie, I am so grateful for you and the life we are building together. You've brought so much joy and meaning into my life, and I promise to always cherish and protect our love." Natalie smiled, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames. "Daniel, you've shown me what true love and partnership mean. I am so grateful for you, and I promise to always stand by you through every challenge and triumph." They embraced, feeling the warmth of the fire and the strength of their love. As they watched the stars twinkle above them, they knew that their journey together was just beginning, and they were ready to face whatever the future held. Their honeymoon was a beautiful beginning to their new life together, filled with memories that they would cherish forever. As they returned home, they felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination, ready to build a future filled with love, creativity, and endless possibilities. Together they faced the world, their bond stronger than ever, and as they looked towards the future, they knew that the best was yet to come. Chapter 10. The Reunion's Aftermath. Returning from their honeymoon, Daniel and Natalie settled into their new life with a sense of renewed purpose and commitment. The routine of daily life, filled with shared moments and new experiences, brought them closer together. Daniel's art studio and Natalie's wellness center became the focal points of their professional lives, each thriving with the support and encouragement of the other. One crisp autumn morning, Daniel was at his studio putting the finishing touches on a new painting. The studio, once a quiet place of solitary work, was now a bustling hub of creativity and collaboration. Daniel had expanded the space to include areas for workshops and classes, inviting people of all ages to explore their artistic talents. As Daniel worked, his phone buzzed with a message from Chris Miller. "Hey Daniel, how about a guys' night out this weekend? It's been a while since we all hung out. Nick and I are in. What do you say?" Daniel smiled at the thought of spending time with his old friends. He quickly replied, "Sounds great, Chris. Count me in. How about Saturday night?" "Perfect. See you then," Chris replied. That Saturday evening, Daniel met Chris and Nick at a local bar they used to frequent during their college days. The place had a nostalgic charm, and the familiar surroundings brought back memories of their younger years. "Daniel, it's great to see you," Nick said, clapping him on the back as they sat down at a booth. "How is married life treating you?" "Married life is amazing," Daniel replied, grinning. "Natalie and I are really happy. How about you guys? How's everything going?" Chris leaned back in his seat, a content smile on his face. "Life's good, work is busy, but I am enjoying it, and Nick here is about to become a dad." "Really? That is fantastic news," Daniel exclaimed, looking at Nick with surprise and joy. "Congratulations." "Thanks, Daniel," Nick said, his face lighting up with pride. "We are really excited. It is a big change, but we were ready for it." The evening was filled with laughter and stories, the bond between the friends as strong as ever. They reminisced about their college days, shared updates on their lives, and made plans to stay connected more regularly. As the night drew to a close, Chris raised his glass. "Here's to friendship and new beginnings. May we always support each other and cherish the memories we've made." "Cheers to that," Daniel and Nick echoed, clinking their glasses together. The next morning, Daniel woke up feeling refreshed and grateful for the time spent with his friends. He was about to head to the kitchen for breakfast when his phone rang. It was Amanda. "Good morning, Daniel," Amanda said, her voice cheerful. "How was your night out with the guys?" "It was great," Daniel replied, smiling. "We had a lot of fun catching up." "How about you? How's everything going?" "Everything's good," Amanda said. "Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something. Sophie's school is having a career day next week, and she asked if you could come and talk about your work as an artist. She is really proud of you and thinks it would be great for her classmates to hear about your journey." Daniel felt a swell of pride and happiness. "I'd love to, Amanda. Tell Sophie I am honored and I'll be there." "Great, she'll be thrilled," Amanda said. "Thank you, Daniel." The following week, Daniel arrived at Sophie's school feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. He was greeted by Sophie's beaming smile and the enthusiastic applause of her classmates. "Everyone, this is my dad, Daniel Mitchell," Sophie said, introducing him to the class. He's an amazing artist, and he's here to talk to us about his work and how he became an artist. Thank you, Sophie, Daniel said, smiling at his daughter. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today. I want to share with you how I discovered my passion for art and the journey that led me to where I am now. He spoke about his early love for drawing and painting, the challenges he faced in pursuing his passion, and the joy he found in creating art. He shared stories of his art studio and the workshops he conducted, encouraging the students to explore their own creativity. As he finished his talk, one of the students raised their hand. Mr. Mitchell, what's the most important lesson you've learned as an artist? Daniel thought for a moment before replying. The most important lesson I've learned is to never give up on your dreams. Pursuing your passion takes hard work and dedication, but it's worth it. Believe in yourself, and don't be afraid to take risks and make mistakes. Each step you take brings you closer to achieving your goals. The students applauded, and Daniel felt a deep sense of fulfillment. After the session, Sophie ran up to him and hugged him tightly. Dad, that was amazing! Thank you for coming, she said, her eyes shining with pride. Thank you for inviting me, Sophie, Daniel replied, feeling a surge of love for his daughter. I am so proud of you. As they walked to the car, Daniel's phone buzzed with a message from Natalie. Hey Daniel, how did it go at Sophie's school? It went really well, Daniel replied, smiling. I'll tell you all about it when I get home. When Daniel returned home, he found Natalie in the living room, working on some plans for the wellness center. She looked up and smiled as he walked in. Hey, how was career day? She asked, setting aside her papers. It was fantastic, Daniel said, sitting down next to her. The kids were so enthusiastic, and Sophie was beaming with pride. It was a really special experience. I'm so glad to hear that, Natalie said, leaning in to kiss him. You are an inspiration, Daniel. So are you, Daniel replied, smiling. How's everything going with the wellness center? Great, Natalie said, her eyes lighting up. We are planning a series of workshops on mindfulness and stress relief, and the response has been really positive. That's wonderful, Daniel said, feeling a sense of pride for Natalie's accomplishments. I'm so proud of you. They spent the evening sharing stories and ideas, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. Daniel felt a deep sense of gratitude for the life they were building together, filled with love, creativity, and endless possibilities. As the days turned into weeks, Daniel and Natalie continued to support each other's dreams and aspirations. They faced challenges together, celebrated successes, and found joy in the simple moments of life. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Daniel turned to Natalie, his heart filled with love and appreciation. Natalie, I can't imagine my life without you. You've brought so much joy and meaning into my life, and I'm grateful for every moment we share. Natalie smiled, her eyes reflecting the golden light of the setting sun. I feel the same way, Daniel. You've shown me what true love and partnership mean, and I'm so grateful for you. They embraced, knowing that their love was a rare and precious gift. As they looked towards the future, they knew that they could face any challenge together, their bond unbreakable. In the months that followed, Daniel's art studio flourished, and Natalie's wellness center became a thriving hub of healing and community. They continued to support each other's dreams, finding fulfillment in their shared journey. As they walked hand in hand through the garden one evening, Daniel felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. He knew that their journey was far from over, but with Natalie by his side, he was ready to face whatever the future held. And as they watched the stars twinkle above them, they knew that their love would guide them through any darkness, lighting their way towards a bright and beautiful future together. Chapter 11. A Chance Encounter. Life had settled into a comfortable and fulfilling rhythm for Daniel and Natalie. They continued to thrive in their respective careers, supporting each other's dreams and finding joy in their shared journey. Their days were filled with love, laughter, and the small moments that made their bond stronger. One crisp autumn afternoon, Daniel decided to take a walk through the park where he and Natalie had shared many important conversations. The leaves were turning vibrant shades of red and gold, creating a picturesque scene. As he strolled along the path, lost in thought, he heard a familiar voice call his name. "Daniel! Is that you?" the voice called out. Daniel turned and saw a woman walking towards him. It took a moment for him to recognize her, but then it clicked. It was Megan Harris, an old friend from college who he hadn't seen in years. Megan. "Wow, it has been ages," Daniel said, smiling warmly as she approached. "It really has," Megan replied, giving him a hug. "How have you been?" "I've been great," Daniel said. "A lot has happened since college. How about you?" "Same here," Megan replied, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I moved back to town a few months ago. It's been a whirlwind, but I'm finally settling in. What about you? What have you been up to?" Daniel shared his journey with Megan, telling her about his art studio, his marriage to Natalie, and their life together. Megan listened intently, genuinely happy for him. "That's wonderful, Daniel," Megan said, her smile warm. "I am so glad to hear that you are doing well, and congratulations on your marriage. Natalie sounds amazing." "Thanks, Megan," Daniel replied, feeling a surge of gratitude for his life. "What about you? What brought you back to town?" "I got a job offer I couldn't refuse," Megan said, her eyes shining with excitement. "I am working as a project manager for a new tech company. It's been challenging, but I am loving every minute of it." "That is fantastic," Daniel said. "It's great to see you again and catch up. We should definitely stay in touch." "I'd love that," Megan replied. "Maybe we can get together for coffee sometime and reminisce about old times." "Absolutely," Daniel said, smiling. "I'll give you a call soon." They exchanged contact information and hugged goodbye, promising to meet up soon. As Daniel continued his walk, he felt a sense of nostalgia and excitement. It was wonderful to reconnect with an old friend, and he looked forward to catching up further. Later that evening, as Daniel and Natalie sat down for dinner, he shared his encounter with Megan. "You'll never guess who I ran into at the park today," Daniel said, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "Who?" Natalie asked, curious. "Megan Harris," Daniel replied. "We went to college together, but I hadn't seen her in years. She just moved back to town and is working for a tech company." "That's amazing," Natalie said, smiling. "It's always nice to reconnect with old friends. Maybe we could invite her over for dinner sometime." "That's a great idea," Daniel said. "I'm sure she'd love that." As the weeks passed, Daniel and Natalie continued to thrive in their respective careers, finding fulfillment and joy in their work. They made plans to meet up with Megan for coffee, and the three of them enjoyed catching up and sharing stories from their college days. One evening, as they sat in their cozy living room, Daniel received a call from his gallery manager. "Daniel, I have some exciting news," the manager said, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "Your latest collection has been a huge hit, and we've received an offer from a prominent art collector who wants to buy several pieces." "That's fantastic news," Daniel replied, feeling a surge of pride and excitement. "Thank you for letting me know." After the call, Daniel shared the news with Natalie, who was equally thrilled. "I am so proud of you, Daniel," Natalie said, her eyes shining with pride. "Your hard work and dedication are paying off." "Thanks, Natalie," Daniel replied, feeling grateful for her unwavering support. "I couldn't have done it without you." As they celebrated the success of Daniel's art, they also reflected on their journey together. They had faced challenges and overcome obstacles, but their love and commitment had only grown stronger. One weekend, Daniel and Natalie decided to take a short trip to a nearby coastal town to relax and recharge. They rented a charming cottage by the sea and spent their days exploring the town, walking along the beach, and enjoying the tranquility of the ocean. On their last evening, they sat on the porch of their cottage, watching the sunset over the water. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, creating a breathtaking view. "Natalie, this has been an incredible journey," Daniel said, his voice filled with emotion. "I am so grateful for you and the life we are building together." "I feel the same way, Daniel," Natalie replied, her eyes reflecting the beauty of the sunset. "You've brought so much joy and meaning into my life. I'm excited for our future and all the adventures that lie ahead." They sat in comfortable silence, enjoying the peacefulness of the moment. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Daniel felt a deep sense of contentment and fulfillment. He knew that their love was a rare and precious gift, and he was determined to cherish it every day. As they returned home, they felt a renewed sense of purpose and excitement for the future. They continued to support each other as dreams, finding joy in the small moments and the shared experiences that made their bond stronger. One evening, as they were preparing dinner, Daniel received a call from Chris. "Hey Daniel, how's it going?" Chris asked, his voice cheerful. "Great, Chris. How about you?" Daniel replied. Good, Chris said. "I'm calling because Nick and I were thinking of planning a weekend getaway with the guys, just like old times. What do you say?" "That sounds like a lot of fun," Daniel replied, feeling a surge of excitement. "Count me in, awesome. We'll finalize the details and let you know," Chris said. "Looking forward to it." As Daniel hung up the phone, he turned to Natalie with a smile. "The guys are planning a weekend getaway. It should be a lot of fun." "That sounds great," Natalie said, smiling. "You deserve some time to relax and enjoy yourself." A few weeks later, Daniel and his friends set off for their weekend getaway. They chose a rustic cabin in the mountains, surrounded by nature and offering a perfect escape from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. As they arrived at the cabin, they were greeted by the crisp mountain air and the breathtaking views. The weekend was filled with hiking, fishing, and late-night conversations by the campfire. One evening, as they sat around the fire, Chris turned to Daniel with a thoughtful expression. "Daniel, you seem really happy," Chris said. "I'm glad things are going well for you and Natalie." "Thanks, Chris," Daniel replied, his heart filled with gratitude. "I am happy. Natalie and I have built a wonderful life together, and I am excited for the future." Nick nodded in agreement. "It's great to see you thriving, Daniel. You've always been there for us, and we are here for you too." They spent the rest of the evening sharing stories, reminiscing about their past adventures, and making plans for future trips. The bond between the friends was as strong as ever, and Daniel felt a deep sense of fulfillment. As the weekend came to a close, Daniel returned home feeling refreshed and inspired. He was greeted by Natalie's warm embrace and the comforting familiarity of their home. "How was the trip?" Natalie asked, her eyes filled with curiosity. "It was amazing," Daniel replied, smiling. "We had a great time, and it was nice to reconnect with the guys." "I'm glad to hear that," Natalie said, hugging him tightly. "I missed you. I missed you too," Daniel said, his heart swelling with love. "I am so grateful for you, Natalie." As they settled back into their routine, Daniel and Natalie continued to support each other's dreams and find joy in their shared journey. They faced challenges together, celebrated successes, and found fulfillment in the simple moments of life. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Daniel turned to Natalie with a thoughtful expression. "Natalie, I have been thinking about starting a new series of paintings," Daniel said. "I want to capture the beauty of our journey together, the moments that have defined our love and partnership." "That sounds beautiful, Daniel," Natalie replied, her eyes shining with excitement. "I'd love to see what you create." With Natalie's encouragement, Daniel began working on his new series, pouring his heart and soul into each piece. As the paintings took shape, they reflected the depth of his love and the beauty of their shared journey. As the weeks turned into months, Daniel and Natalie continued to thrive in their respective careers and find fulfillment in their shared dreams. Their love grew stronger with each passing day, and they knew that they could face any challenge together. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the stars twinkle above them, Daniel felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. "Natalie, our journey has been incredible," Daniel said, his voice filled with emotion. "I am so grateful for you and the life we are building together. I can wait to see what the future holds for us." "I feel the same way, Daniel," Natalie replied, her eyes reflecting the beauty of the night sky. "You have brought so much joy and meaning into my life, and I am excited for all the adventures that lie ahead." They embraced, knowing that their love was a rare and precious gift. As they looked towards the future, they knew that they could face any challenge together, their bond unbreakable. And as they watched the stars twinkle above them, they knew that their love would guide them through any darkness, lighting their way towards a bright and beautiful future together. Chapter 12. Moving Forward. The seasons changed, bringing with them new opportunities and challenges for Daniel and Natalie. Their love and partnership had grown stronger, rooted in trust and shared dreams. Life was full of exciting moments and the comforting routines that made their bond unique. One chilly winter evening, as snowflakes danced outside their window, Daniel and Natalie sat by the fireplace sipping hot cocoa. The warmth of the fire and the soft glow of the room created a cozy atmosphere, perfect for reflection and conversation. "Daniel, I have been thinking a lot about our future," Natalie said, her voice thoughtful. "I love the life we've built together, but I feel like there's so much more we can do. I want to expand the wellness center, offer more services, and reach more people." Daniel smiled, his heart swelling with pride for Natalie's ambition and dedication. "That is a fantastic idea, Natalie. Your wellness center has already made such a positive impact on the community. Expanding it would help even more people." "Thank you for your support, Daniel," Natalie said, her eyes shining with gratitude. "I couldn't do it without you." They spent the evening brainstorming ideas for the expansion, discussing new programs, partnerships, and ways to make the wellness center a beacon of hope and healing for even more people. Daniel's creativity and Natalie's passion combined to create a vision that was both ambitious and achievable. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity as they put their plans into motion. Natalie worked tirelessly to bring the expansion to life, and Daniel supported her every step of the way. Their days were filled with meetings, planning sessions, and the occasional moment of doubt, but their unwavering support for each other kept them going. One sunny spring afternoon, as they were finalizing the details for the grand reopening of the wellness center, Daniel received an unexpected call from the gallery manager. "Daniel, I have some exciting news," the manager said, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "Your new series of paintings has been selected for a solo exhibition at one of the most prestigious galleries in the city." Daniel's heart skipped a beat. "That's incredible news. Thank you so much for letting me know." After the call, Daniel shared the news with Natalie, who was equally thrilled. "I am so proud of you, Daniel," Natalie said, hugging him tightly. "This is a huge accomplishment, and you deserve every bit of it." "Thank you, Natalie," Daniel replied, feeling a surge of excitement. "I couldn't have done it without your support." As the date of the grand reopening and the solo exhibition approached, Daniel and Natalie found themselves balancing the demands of their professional lives with their commitment to each other. They made time for quiet moments, sharing their hopes and dreams, and reminding each other of the love that had brought them this far. The day of the grand reopening arrived, and the wellness center was abuzz with activity. The expanded space was beautifully decorated, and the atmosphere was filled with excitement and anticipation. Guests from the community, along with friends and family, gathered to celebrate the new beginning. Natalie stood at the front of the room, addressing the crowd with a heartfelt speech. "Thank you all for being here today. This wellness center has always been about more than just physical health. It is about creating a space where people can find peace, healing, and a sense of community. I am grateful for your support and excited for the future." As the applause filled the room, Daniel felt a deep sense of pride and admiration for Natalie. She had worked tirelessly to bring her vision to life, and the success of the wellness center was a testament to her dedication and passion. The evening was a joyful celebration, filled with laughter, music, and heartfelt conversations. Daniel and Natalie moved through the crowd, thanking their guests and sharing moments of joy. A few weeks later, it was time for Daniel's solo exhibition. The gallery was packed with art enthusiasts, critics, and supporters. Daniel's paintings, inspired by his journey with Natalie, were displayed prominently, each piece telling a story of love, resilience, and hope. As Daniel stood by his work, greeting visitors and discussing his art, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. This exhibition was the culmination of years of hard work and dedication, and he was grateful for the opportunity to share his passion with the world. Natalie stood by his side, her pride and love for Daniel evident in her eyes. Your work is incredible, Daniel. You've captured our journey beautifully. Thank you, Natalie, Daniel said, his voice filled with emotion. I couldn't have done it without you. You are my inspiration. The exhibition was a resounding success, and Daniel received praise and admiration from everyone who attended. As the evening came to a close, he and Natalie stood together, reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this moment. We've come a long way, Daniel said, his voice filled with gratitude. I am so grateful for you, Natalie, and the life we've built together. I feel the same way, Daniel, Natalie replied, her eyes shining with love. Our journey has been incredible, and I am excited for all the adventures that lie ahead. As they walked home hand in hand, the city lights twinkling around them, they knew that their love was a rare and precious gift. They had faced challenges and overcome obstacles, but their bond had only grown stronger. In the months that followed, Daniel and Natalie continued to thrive in their respective careers and find fulfillment in their shared dreams. They faced new challenges together, celebrated successes, and found joy in the simple moments of life. One summer evening, as they sat on the porch of their home, watching the fireflies dance in the twilight, Daniel turned to Natalie with a thoughtful expression. Natalie, I've been thinking about our future, Daniel said, his voice filled with emotion. I want to continue growing and evolving together. I want to explore new places, take on new challenges, and keep building our life together. Natalie smiled, her eyes reflecting the beauty of the evening. I feel the same way, Daniel. I'm excited for all the adventures that lie ahead. With you by my side, I know we can face anything. They embraced, feeling the warmth of their love and the strength of their bond. As they looked towards the future, they knew that they could face any challenge together, their love guiding them through any darkness. And as they watched the stars twinkle above them, they knew that their journey was far from over. With each passing day, their love grew stronger, and their future together shone brightly. Their life was filled with love, creativity, and endless possibilities. Together, they faced the world, their bond unbreakable and their hearts full of hope. As they continued their journey, they knew that the best was yet to come. And with each step they took, they embraced the future with open hearts and the unwavering belief that their love would guide them through any challenge, lighting their way towards a bright and beautiful future together.